Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today I'm going to be talking about all the books I'm planning on reading in September. So yeah, this is just my September TBR. A nice easy video because my placement that I'm on at the moment is critical care and A&E, so it's a very busy placement. Like 8 o'clock starts every day, and I think next week I'm on A&E, which is 7:30 starts, which is just torture. But I am enjoying it, but it's just very full on. So I don't know how much I will get read in September, but I like to read at the weekend, so we'll see. But there's no point in setting a low ambitious TBR. I just have to go for ambitious, and then if I don't reach it, it's fine. But as my A-level maths teacher said, it's better to aim for the stars and not reach it than aim too low and get there. I can't remember the proper quote, but it was essentially, it's better to aim high and not get there than aim too low and not do yourself justice. I think is the gist of that. But anyway, so we'll start with the books I'm already kind of semi in the middle of. So the first is Wisdom of Crowds by Jo Abercrombie, which is the final book in the Age of Madness series, and I'm about 60% of the way through. That's the start, and then I've got that much left, and I'm really loving this one. I love Age of Madness books. They're just one of my favourite series now, and in this one things are really like kicking off. We're kind of on the cusp of revolution essentially at the start of the book, and the characters are all going through quite big changes and going through a lot of suffering, and I don't know, I love this series and it's really good. It's hard to talk about because it's kind of not really even the first series in the world. It's part of the First Law world, and it's kind of grimdark, but I would say these books, the Age of Madness ones, are a lot less, well, they're not less grimdark than the First Law world. They're less kind of grim. I feel like they have quite a good sense of humour to them, and there's some character moments, and I just really love the characters so much. Like you have Savine, who is an absolute queen. She's like ruthless, ambitious, cunning, sexy, everything that you could want in a woman, slightly villainous. And then Ricky, the dogman from the original series' daughter, and she's quite like I don't know, she's really hard to describe. She has this thing called the long eye, which means she can sort of see into the future, and she's always been seen as almost a bit crazy because of it. But she's a really like badass character, and she's very kind of wild type thing, and she has a great sense of humour. And then also, who's the prince, who I love so much. He's just so charming, and like he has such a self-depreciating like humour and sense of himself, but he's actually really, like, especially for Jo Abercrombie's world, he's a really good person, and I don't know, he's just trying his best and I love him. And then Leo, who's an absolute disaster. He's such a himbo, and he's so like painfully queer, but he's so repressed, and I just want to give him a big hug. And also bash his head into the wall. But yeah, I really love the characters and I would highly recommend this series, so I'm really excited to get to this. Then I'm also reading The Counselor by E.G. Beaton on audio, and also I was so excited because the audiobook is narrated by Moira Quirk, who does Gideon the Ninth and Harry the Ninth audiobook, so I was really excited to learn that the audiobook was by her. And I'm enjoying this one, so I'm fairly far through this one, but it's basically following this palace scholar called Lysande, and she is essentially like, she almost has this hero worship of her queen Cerilind, and then at the very start of the book Cerilind gets murdered, and she leaves like a note saying Lysande is now the counselor and she has to choose who the next ruler is going to be. So she's like this palace scholar who's suddenly thrust into a position of power, and then there's these four kind of rulers who are then, she has to choose between one of them to now become the new like king or queen, but also at the same time investigating a plot that maybe one of the four has been responsible for the death of the queen. So yeah, it's good, and Lysande's a great character. She's very much like a scholarly character, but she's basically an anxious, horny, bisexual disaster, which is just a great combination of things to be. And yeah, so I really like that. And there's a lot of political kind of machinations as well, which I love a political book, so yeah, I'm really excited to finish that one and see what I think of all of it. And then the final book that I am in the middle of and want to finish is Wrath. So I'm not very far into this one. It looks like I'm nowhere, but I'm at least 100 pages in, yeah. And this is the final book in the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne. And this is another like epic fantasy series, but I really love the characters in this one. And I'm excited to see kind of where their journeys go. And it's very much a kind of good versus evil type thing. There's a lot of great characters, and John Gwynne is really good at writing battle scenes as well, so I find his writing very easy to read. Like, they're big books, but they're not hard to like read at all. So yeah, I'm excited. And actually in the first bit of the book, something that was very, very painful to read at the end of Ruin has become slightly less painful, which I am very happy but also terrified about. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, and then moving on to other books. So I just got in the post Wings of Shadow, which is the final book in the Crown of Feathers trilogy. And look how pretty it is. I'm very excited to read this one. This is one of my favourite YA series, and I think it's really has a lot of appeal to both YA readers but also fans of adult fantasy who like the occasional YA, because I think the world and stuff and the politics is very kind of well nuanced, and obviously I love it because there's a villainous female character who has a villainous arc, especially in book 2. And the main character I love, she's Veronica. She's a very kind and compassionate character, which I don't think you see a lot, especially in YA, and I really like that. And like a lot of the kind of way she goes about things is through her kind of kindness and care to animals, and the phoenixes, like they have phoenix riders and stuff, which is really cool. And the other characters as well are all quite cute, well obviously except from the villain, but Tristan, who's like Veronica's kind of love interest, he's also such a little cinnamon roll. And then there's a couple of other characters who are maybe slightly more morally grey, but I just really like that about this series. And I love the phoenixes and like their bonds with the creatures. It's a bit like How to Train Your Dragon type thing. Yeah, so I'm just really excited for this finale, so yeah. And then also have Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant, who I think is also Sean Maguire. And this, I don't know much about this other than it's kind of, I think it's a bit horror-y, which I'm not a big fan of horror, but I think I'm getting slightly more into it. Like, I like gothic horror, which I don't think that's what this is, but also I feel like I could like it. And I know it's got something to do with the sea, possibly mermaids or sirens or something, and I believe it's sapphic as well, so I'm excited by all those things. So yeah, I want to read it, and I've heard the audiobook's really good, and I was looking for new SFF audiobooks, so I got it. And then another actually audiobook on that point is Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. So I've had this audiobook a while and I've been meaning to get to it, but I feel like I have been in the mood for sort of like historical romance and like fantasy historical romance, and I feel like Juliette Marillier's books, I've never read one, but they give me vibes of like that kind of romance, fantasy romance, but in a more like historical type fantasy world type thing. So I'm really excited for that one. I don't really know what it's about. I don't know if this is a different series, but I don't know if it's like Seven Sisters or something. Oh no, maybe it's Seven Waters. But I don't know. Yeah, I should have looked up a synopsis before I filmed this. I'm a very bad booktuber. But I have high hopes, so yeah. So I have an arc for Gilded by Marissa Meyer, which is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling, which I'm very excited for. I have actually also started this one already. I'm enjoying this one so far. I haven't read that much of it, but basically we follow this girl called Cyrilda, who is very good at telling lies, and then one day this prince or king of the wild hunt or something comes along, and like she's hiding some fey creatures that the king is hunting down, and in order to like have an alibi of why she was out and about, she tells him that she was spinning straw into gold or something. So then he takes this literally and then kind of kidnaps her and asks her to spin the straw into gold. So she is now stuck because she doesn't know what she has to do. She doesn't know how she's going to do this because she doesn't actually have that power. And then this mysterious like stranger shows up called Gild, who turns the straw into gold in exchange for like a price. And so far we've just met Gild, and he's a great character. I love trickster characters, which I'm getting major vibes from him, but that's what it is. Like low-key type characters. So yeah, I'm really excited to see where this one goes as well. And I think Marissa Meyer books as well are very just comforting, like that kind of fairy tale feeling. So yeah, I'm excited for that one. Also, another book that I have already started, I just forgot a load from the beginning of this, Legacy of Ash by Matthew Ward. So this one is another kind of epic fantasy. We're following quite a few different characters, and essentially at the start of the book there is this kind of famous like rebel, and she's kind of just in the prologue, her kind of rebellion is just happening, but then she kind of gets killed, and then we're following her children, some of the opposing side, like children kind of. It's basically a generation down, most of the characters, but and one of the characters I think is the guy who killed her, but he's still quite young. And yeah, there's just a lot of kind of political stuff going on and various character like machinations. I'm not really sure how to explain the plot, but I'm enjoying it so far. I really like some of the characters. Yeah, so we'll see how I enjoy that one. And I have the Arc of Legacy of Steel, which is the sequel, which I would like to start in September as well, but I doubt I'll finish it, but I will get to it eventually. Yeah. So that's my September reading plan. So I hope you all enjoyed the video, and yeah, let me know in the comments a book you're planning to read in September. I would really love to know. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I hope you're all having a really great day, and I'll see you next time.